Let's find out. I like to start off good. But yeah, language, he's saying that the way that people learn things is first we start at step one. And the way anything happens in this world is first we start at step one and we have to go through a series of things and eventually we reach a conclusion towards the end. So language is the same way. We have sounds. We get rid of all the sounds that don't make any sense. So like neighing by horses and sheep buying, all these different sounds that don't really mean anything. We get rid of those. Logically, we don't need them. And then we just take the sounds that we have and we can form letters out of them. And then from the letters, we can form words. And from the words, we can form sentences. And all these things, gradually, we're building it up.
Talk about intelligence.
Intelligence is one of the things that you have to work at. Intelligence isn't necessary. But also, intelligence is something that we have, that logically we can say that we have intelligence, but you can't tangibly touch it. That's another argument that he brings as to the creator, why we have a creator. Bro, you got 6 minutes. I know. Oh, you can vault. I like that you changed your name. This is my coworker. It's because we start working in 30 minutes technically, but it's fine.
But here's the thing. Animals have language too.
But not the same way that we have language.
No, not the same way.
And they don't have intellect the same way we have intellect.
True.
So it's there's ways that we can build out sentences that no one else can. And that basically is the idea that he's trying to bring out, is that all things in the world. Anyway, I think we should start from the beginning and kind of go. No, it's okay.
Animals have never asked a question.
Yeah, what's the question?
No, I said also animals have never asked a question.
Animals have never asked a question. This is true. There's no inquisition.
Yes, they do.
Inquisitiveness of animals.
Yes, they do. Often and not. Cats that we give food to. You know, when we give them food on a regular basis,
and then you don't give them food.
They don't give them food, and then they look at you like, meow.
I don't know if that's them asking for food.
I
don't know if it's them asking.
That's begging.
It's certainly not them asking for something that they don't know exists. They can only ask for something that they know exists. Humans, on the other hand, can inquire about things that aren't yet real. That's something unique to humans. But besides that, the whole point of this is to prove that there is a creator. Now, there's a bunch of logical arguments. It's thanks, Yossi, I appreciate it. He said he's going to cover me. So there's a bunch of logical arguments as to why there is a creator and we are created beings. Right. And that's basically the whole thing that he has. Now, I was able to find a translation that was done in the 50s, and it uses old school language like thou and hast. On Safaria, they have a more modernized translation, but it's only up through the introduction, not the whole thing. And the whole thing is about 550 pages. So I tried to read as much as I possibly could.
Actually, you could
of that.
Run it through ChatGPT.
I tried doing that. It did not. No, it can't, because the PDF that I found of the book translated is picture scans, not actual PDF, so couldn't pull the actual words. It had to scan the words, and it wasn't getting all of them. So I just read as much as I could, and then I compiled as much as I possibly could compile into something that was worthwhile, and something we could kind of flow through and follow, and talked about the major points of, hi, David, what's up? David Barbershop. Talk about the major points of the arguments that he brings us to, this way you could walk away with something and be like,
all right, so go ahead.
I know Hashem exists because of these sort of logical arguments. Now, we could also prove that Hashem exists from non-logical arguments, things like that, but this one that I found very comprehensive. Be'ezrat Hashem, I'm going to, with the help of Hashem, kind of make more of this, but that'll be much later on the line. We can go back to Tanya after we do this, but I thought this would be good for now. I think this is going to touch on all the major arguments as to why God exists. Or why there's a creator, I should say more specifically. That there is a creator. This is like the proof of it. So the argument, I put up the major arguments. So his name is Saadia Gaon, and he has a bunch of arguments against different philosophers and different people at the time that he was refuting them as to, they came up with ideas that kind of refute the existence of Hashem, and then he kind of puts wrenches into all of their arguments through logical theses. So there's the argument from the finite world, the finitude of the world. Basically, we live in a world that is finite, and because of this, because the universe is composed of finite objects, earth, stars, skies, physical material that we know has a beginning and has an end, therefore the parts of the universe are measurable and finite, and the whole universe must be finite. If this is the case, we're going to follow the logic of the things that we know of in the universe are measurable and therefore finite. Because if you can measure something, it's has an end, something and a beginning that you can measure, right?
He's claiming that the universe is finite,
It's made up of finite things, yes.
but the expansion is infinite.
The expansion is infinite. However, the expansion is ex nihilo.
Is what?
Ex nihilo. It's from nothing to something. We're saying there's an expansion, right?
Right.
You can measure the expansion. You can measure the rate of the expansion. You can measure how many things are being expanded. And therefore, they can go back to a focal point, a very beginning. You can measure it. If you can measure it, it's therefore finite. Because it's infinitely expanding, you're saying it's infinitely expanding, but you don't know that 100%. Unless you were to know the end, which ideally, like, there would be no end, so to speak, then you could say, oh, yeah, it's infinite, but it's almost impossible for any human to measure an infinite thing. It is impossible.
What's called pi?
No, that's no. Pi is not.
Pi is still finite.
Yeah.
Pi is infinite.
It has an
No, it
infinite
has-
number of
yeah,
decimals, but it is a
but-
finite number.
Eventually, but it can go
Eventually.
forever.
No, okay.
No one knows. Maybe it does end at one point, but nobody really knows.
Pi
Technically, it can never.
Pi represents usually like the infinite number of sides that a circle has. So, like
Right. 3.14,
Yeah.
etc., etc.
Yeah.
There actually is a museum of science and industry, I guess.
That keeps putting out the
France?
next number of
No. It's like they have it going for I don't know how many hundreds of
right numbers.
they just have
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, a finite object cannot have existed for an infinite amount of time. If the world had no beginning, we would never have reached the present moment, because the infinite amount of time would have to have passed first before we reach the present. Therefore, the world must have a starting point, which requires a creator to start it. That's his argument, and scientists would agree, many of them would agree, Big Bang Theory, things like this, that there was some sort of starting point that we can like measure time-wise, because time is also something that's finite. We have a beginning and an end. We can measure it. Therefore, the beginning of the world is measurable. And if the world was here forever, we would never reach the point that we are at right now. Because there would have to be an infinite amount of time that would pass before we reach the present moment. I know it's kind of like a little bit crazy.
Say that again.
If the world was infinitely
Yeah.
years old,
Okay.
infinite years old, we would never reach the present moment. Because it's infinitely old.
Why?
Because to be able to reach the present moment, you'd have to start from one point and end at another point. But the Earth had no start. So we can never reach now. That's one of the logical arguments he's using in terms of time. The argument for the composition of objects. So Sadi are going to observe that everything in the world is a composite, a mixture of different elements and qualities. You have hot, you have something that's cold, you have solid, you have liquid, you have earth, air, wind, fire, and water, these sort of objects. And elements do not naturally join together into complex structures like plants or animals on their own. A human is a solid, but we're made up of like 90% water, something like that. So logically, it doesn't exist because a physical object and a liquid object can't exist simultaneously within the same thing. It's not natural for them to exist simultaneously. Fire and water cannot exist simultaneously at the same time. Not naturally. It doesn't naturally go together. If you put fire and water together, what happens?
The flame extinguishes.
Exactly. Neither can exist at the same time.
At the molecule level, it could be different.
Oh, okay. So that's another thing. A molecular level is something different, which I'm gonna bring up a little bit later on as well to disprove that further. So since elements naturally repel one another, elements are being forced into a unified composite state, there must be an external composer who's combining them. Someone must be pushing them together. Like two magnets that repel each other, there must be something pushing them together. Okay. The argument for accidents, basically things that change. So Sadi points out that everything in the physical world is subject to accidents, meaning characteristics like motion, rest, health, sickness, life, and death. Things can be in one state and then change to a different state. These changes are not inherent to the substance of the matter itself, they happen to it. Since matter is constantly undergoing change and accidents that have a beginning and an end, the matter itself must also have a beginning and an end. If it has a beginning, it must have been brought into existence by something else.
It's talking about Half-Life?
This is an example is Half-Life. An example is kind of like Half-Life, yes. Which we're going to get into a little bit further on because I want it to be a very strong argument. Right now we're talking, if you say it was something like Half-Life, that's a different like side thing that I'm going to get into a little bit later on and make it really, really powerful as to why something like Half-Life,
what Half-Life is.
all elements, everything in the world has a half-life, basically meaning like radioactivity has a half-life. Basically, the power of the radioactivity cuts in half every certain number of days or periods or years, whatever it is.
Okay.
Until it's stable.
Until it's stable. Until it's stable. Basically, which means that there's a reaction happening to it, and it's changing, which means that there's a beginning state and an end state to this thing, and therefore it is finite. So if something has a half-life, it is, by definition, finite, non-infinite. Okay, this is a good thing. So the argument from the nature of time. Sadia uses a logical proof regarding the impossibility of an infinite past. If the world was eternal, time would have to travel through an infinite number of past events in order to reach today, right now, the present. It's impossible to cross infinite distance or complete an infinite series. Since we have reached today, the past cannot be infinite. Thus, there was a first moment and a first mover who created it, which is Hashem. Once Sadia proves a creator exists, he refutes the heretics who believe in multiple gods or physical God by arguing the creator must be one. If there was more than one Hashem, if there was more than one God, they would limit each other, meaning neither would be truly all-powerful. You could have two gods, but you could say one is more powerful than the other. And therefore, the one who's more powerful is the God. The one who's less powerful is not God. He's not infinite in his powers. You can only have one infinite being. Otherwise, the others wouldn't exist. Or they would become engulfed within the infinite being. Incorporeal, since Hashem...
according to Greek mythology...
Okay, sure. No?
They have the main guy, and they have the sub-gods.
Right, so what's the purpose of the sub-gods? They're not real gods.
No, but
they're not the God. Even Hashem, even in the Torah, it talks about the other gods.
No, but...
We don't deny the existence. We just...
Not to mention
just say if there's...
but like Zeus is supposed to be the main guy.
Right.
And you have people like for other...
Right, lower people.
Siblings.
Okay, I have a question. You have an ambassador to Israel from the U.S., right?
Yes.
Do you call him president?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. There's only one president.
But he has a certain responsibility and authority.
Like the other gods that you're bringing up, the other Greek gods.
And certain abilities.
Right. But all the abilities that they have are subsections of the ability that exists within the main president.
Correct, but they are...
So there you go. There's only one president. There's only one God.
But they are part of that...
Okay, I'm also part of Hashem's ability to do things here on earth.
Which means...
I'm not denying that.
No, which means that... Which I agree with you.
Right.
We are all part of God.
Right. And therefore, if we're all part of Hashem, then there's only one Hashem.
Right.
Even though there's many parts that make up a whole, the whole is still the whole.
We're going sidetrack, but please keep going.
It's not sidetrack. It's you're making stronger the argument. Since Hashem created space, time, and matter, he cannot be made of matter or be limited by space or time.
Or time, correct.
Basically, the creator cannot be limited by the creation. So when we say like crazy arguments like, oh, can Hashem create an infinitely heavy object that he can lift up? The answer is yes, of course. Because a creator is not limited by the things he's creating. Yeah. Can Hashem pick up himself?
But us as individuals...
We can create things that are beyond our ability?
Yes.
I can create an object that is heavier than that I cannot lift.
So wait, is this?
I'm talking about like AI. There are people out there that are creating AIs.
Yeah, and
that eventually AI is going to could become
humans.
No, not human, but at a higher level of intelligence.
Yeah, that's fine, but it's not.
It's not infinite.
Right, exactly.
Is that what?
It's not like an infinite like intelligence. It's not infinite intellect. Because it's still bound, I guess, to this reality where there's a limit to that sort of.
We can't be. We are not going to be limited by the AI.
Right.
That's what we're saying.
Right.
We cannot be limited by the things we create. So the intricate, wise and powerful, the intricate design of the world, this is the teleological argument, proves that the Creator possesses ultimate wisdom. Basically, we said before, such a miracle the way that the body works, all the different things that have to work so perfectly in order for a human to be alive. It's like
The engineering
insane.
of the human eye.
Right
is-
at the bottom where it says no, right there.
Oh,
The engineer of the human eye is something that even Darwin could not explain.
Exactly. So it's something beyond that. There has to be somebody kind of putting it together by happen chance. It's literally impossible for it to happen by chance.
You cannot take a Chevy and a Ford and stick them in a hole for 200 million years and for it to come out a supercomputer.
Yeah, exactly. So Sadi was unique for his time because he believed that reason and revelation never truly contradict. Basically, he's saying that science will always prove the existence of Hashem. Never contradict it.
True.
So he argued that Hashem gave us the Torah,
Science is wrong.
or the science is wrong, or it hasn't reached the full truth yet, which is another thing that he argues.
Well, the whole point of science is to test and experiment and to
Find
like,
what's the MS.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
in the past, of course, like science has proven itself wrong time and time again.
Hello, Chabad KSU.
You know, it's gonna and it's following this is probably as Sadia has said, it's probably going to prove itself. It's going to get to the point
Eventually,
until
we're
it's
gonna
going to
exactly
prove the existence of God with science.
Exactly. So he argued that Hashem gave us the Torah to reach the truth quickly, but that a thinking person can arrive at the same truth of the existence of Hashem through just using pure logic. So even if we didn't have the Torah, eventually we would have figured out that there's a God, there's only one God, and there's an infinite power. Logic would have eventually brought us to the point. However, Hashem, in His infinite kindness, gave us the Torah and gave us prophets, and basically gave us like a fast track to saying, hey, there's only one God, this is true, it can't be refuted.
But people selectively see what they want to see. That's the
People
challenge.
for sure will see what they want to see. But that's another thing he brings up, is that which we're going to get into Bezrat Hashem, which we're going to keep
people only
going.
see what they want to see because they are limited by what they see.
Which we're going to get into. Basically, we're saying there's only it'll get into it, but there's two ways that a person can't reach the argument. One is he doesn't know what he's looking for. So the example he gives is someone's looking for a guy named Reuben. And he goes into a group of guys and he can't find the guy named Reuben. But the thing is, he doesn't know what Reuben looks like. So how's he ever supposed to find him? He could be looking right at him and not know that that's him. The other one is he hasn't searched hard enough. He can go into a group called Reuben, he looks once, he goes, oh, he's not here. Maybe Reuben's there, he just hasn't taken the time and effort and the patience to really dig through and find that he's actually there. Those are the two ways that people don't come to know things. Okay, so Sadi uses the hammer, the axe. And the axe is the analogy that he uses. I really enjoyed this analogy, and that's to attack the materialists, the people that they argued that the world was formed by an inherent properties of atoms or elements. Sadi countered that by saying matter created the world. Is as logically absurd as saying the saw made the chair, or the hammer built the house. The matter, the atoms, is just a tool. It cannot be the same as the craftsman. So what is dependency? An axe is a tool designed for cutting, but the axe itself does not decide to cut, nor does it forge itself. There's a creator who creates the tool and then uses the tool to complete a task. But the axe itself is not doing that. So we're saying the same with matter.
Yeah.
Matter doesn't have a mind of its own, as far as we can tell. That it's going to that it specifically wants to stay here attached to the table and not to me. In fact, we know for a fact that when I touch the table, there's electrons being transferred between the two.
Yes.
So, an external agency, for an axe to perform its function, it requires a worker, the blacksmith to make it and the woodsman to swing it. The universe as a tool. Sadi argues that the physical elements of the universe, fire, water, earth, all the elements, etc., including also the atoms, they are instruments because they follow specific laws and produce specific outcomes. They must have been fashioned and directed by a craftsman, Hashem, who exists outside of the material itself.
I see.
They follow specific rules. They are bound by specific laws, which science has tested and proven. Because it's bound by specific laws, it must be that there's something outside of it that gave it specific functions. For example, the axe, you can't use the axe to sew. I mean, maybe you're extremely crafted, you're extremely well-talented person, but a needle is used to sew. An axe is used for cutting. You can use it for hammering too, I guess, or killing, whatever it is, or sawing. Yeah, exactly. So atoms cannot possibly be hot or cold, moist or dry, since these characteristics we find in our natural world are created from the being themselves.
But some atomic particles can have a temperature.
The particles don't. The particles themselves do not have a temperature. The particles create energy that gives off the energy. It gives off a thing, but they themselves cannot be hot or cold.
Okay, yeah, fair.
They create hot, cold, things like that. How fast they're moving, but they themselves are not hot or cold, because the things that they create, they themselves cannot possess. So we're using the same logic for Hashem.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But if we take this theory further, there must be another level, another even smaller inconceivable thing that gives life and power to those atoms, namely protons, neutrons, and electrons. And those themselves also should have a generator or a life power, etc., which we have with quarks, we have leptons, all these different ideas, which scientists, as they discover more and more, they realize more and more things make up the neutrons, the protons, electrons. They make up the more we discover, the more we realize there's something that originated from that. And then if we look deeper, there's going to be something that originated from that. And it'll go on and on and on and on and on until eventually we prove that Hashem exists.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think that in the near future, physicists, specifically physicists, are going to prove the existence of God?
I think they already have. If you speak with most physicists, they believe in God.
Really?
Most physicists would say they believe in God because there's things that are literally unexplainable by science.
I'll give you another one. The theory of evolution, if I may.
Yeah, the evolution.
Why have animals evolved and insects have not?
Insects have
Cockroach is
evolved.
the same. No, the cockroach is the same as it was 200 million years ago.
It takes a lot longer for them to evolve.
Why
It used to be bugs were giant also.
Why
Now
would
they're
it
very
take
small.
them longer than other things?
So
I don't know what's the point?
The point is Hashem specifically engineered them a certain way, and specifically engineered man and the animals a different way. We're all engineered differently. If the
We're
theory
all
of
subject to change
evolution-
in different ways. Yeah, 100%. I could say the same by a human being. One person is more likely to become a frum person than another. It's much easier for one person to change than another person.
No, but there is one thing from, if I may quote,
Animals, insects, you could use the same argument there.
uh,
Are you trying? What's the goal? You're trying to further establish a proof of Hashem being a creator.
Yes.
Okay, because created things are different.
No, but because
Are subject
people
to
say
change.
that evolution is,
Evolution is real.
but it's not. You can't say
Evolution is real.
because
100%.
if you're gonna, then you would apply evolution to everything, but it didn't.
Why not?
Because insects, for example, have not evolved.
They have evolved. Okay, I'll give you an example. Here's a great example in Pittsburgh. And this happened very quickly. There's a species of moths. They used to live on trees,
Yes.
and the birds would eat the moths. Now the birds, we had birch trees in Pittsburgh, which are white. The moths were also white, and they would stay specifically on these birch trees because if they went to a brown tree, they would be seen and they would be eaten. Right? So what happened in Pittsburgh was the steel industry. Creating steel, when you have steel plants, they extremely polluted the entire city. The whole city used to be covered in soot, covered in black from the steel mills. Now these trees in particular, the white trees became black. Now all of a sudden, all the white moths that were hanging out on those white trees, the birds could see them very easily, started eating them up. Then there was a genetic mutation, they evolved, where some of the moths were a darker color, almost black, to match that of the tree. And eventually, because all the white moths got eaten, the black moths were the only ones that reproduced. And it's the same species of moth. So it evolved to be black. Now eventually when they got rid of the steel mills, what happened? The trees turned back to white. And the same thing happened back.
And this happened in the span of how many years?
40 years.
But here's the thing.
Very quickly.
But
They're bugs.
But that's another proof that Hashem exists.
Yeah, I agree.
No, because the thing is, what I'm saying is the theory of evolution implies that time is the key factor in the evolutionary stage. But that reality
It doesn't always.
is not.
No, it doesn't always.
Well, for
It's
me,
cause and effect.
It's cause and effect.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
cause and
evolution
effect.
is bound to time, but the main thing of evolution is the cause, which in this case would be the trees changing and the ant
so why
species.
couldn't then all moths evolve as well?
Because this
Because
happened in this
it's very-
specific environment.
Yeah,
But who makes? I understand.
Right.
But who made that decision for the moth to evolve to that specific environment?
Hashem, of course.
Hashem.
Now you could say also natural selection, which is fine, which is true.
No, but the thing
Because
is,
there was a genetic. The real question is, how did the genetic mutation come about within that specific animal? Someone would say, "Oh, it's just a genome. One of the DNA's, RNAs. They did a little mishap, and one turned out black instead of white." And that genetic mutation is what caused the evolution.
See, I have a question.
Yeah, you could
So-
say the genetic mutation came from the
No,
gene.
what
But
I
I'm sure
was
you could
gonna say
find.
is, if that was a natural occurring thing, then antelope should be able to change their color and live in trees to avoid being eaten by lions.
But that's if
But
they're.
they
it's-
don't.
I see what you're saying. But there would have to be a genetic mutation that would happen within antelopes that would allow them to be able to climb
No,
over.
no,
the
no.
sudden.
But if it was
But they're also
something that
natural.
was,
But they're also naturally animals
if
of
it's
prey.
if it's a blanket
Right.
law of nature, then what applies to one should apply to the other. But that's not the case. It's only Hashem selectively does these things.
I would argue that other naturally selective things happen in terms of evolution within those sorts of environments. Because if it was that they were all getting killed, then eventually there would be no antelopes. So why are there no antelopes? The genetic mutation of the antelope is that it becomes faster. The faster antelopes survive, the slower ones die. And the same thing happens with the predators.
But-
The
but
faster
it's-
ones survive, the slower ones die.
But in some cases, it's because of what you just said.
The question now becomes, why aren't antelopes infinitely fast? That's
No,
that's
no,
the real
no, no.
question.
Then, for example, that also would apply to what you just said, to endangered species like the calico or condor.
But a lot of that has to do
Example.
with human involvement.
Well, what
a lot of it has to do with human
factor is
involvement
that
and
human
not
involvement.
natural environments. Humans live outside the nature. Natural means. We live outside natural means.
But the
Well, it's
thing
also-
is,
well, it's-
why is it that? Okay.
Anyway, I was gonna
We're going around in
say humans kill off more than animals can evolve. So
Exactly. We work faster than they can adapt.
Also, so
That's the time-bound limitations.
here's a question. So the
Yeah.
logic of evolution follows the scientific history of the world, which is that the world or the universe is 14 billion years old.
Sure.
That the Earth is
Carbon dating, all this stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
That the Earth is 4.5 billion years old.
Right.
However, that completely goes against the Torah's.
That we're 5,000 something years old.
5,000 something years old. So why do those contradict each other exactly? And who's right?
So the year in our calendar is not from the beginning of creation. 5,800, 5886. That's where we're right now. 5876? No, 5886. The year that we're in right now is from the creation of man.
As we know them today.
Yeah. From Adam Rishon.
No.
Yes, from Adam Rishon.
That's not possible.
That is possible.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why.
Let's hear it.
Because the creation of the world happened as it was painted in 1 week, and by the
Oh, so now you want to get into what was time before time existed.
well,
What was time before we were able to measure time?
no, because time already existed by then. Because here's the no.
It doesn't say time
And
existed.
how long was really a day?
Time as we know it is existed by humans.
But
No,
how
time,
long?
time. No, the measurement of time had to have been stable, had to have been constant.
Why?
Because of
Hashem, it says Hashem created light and he created darkness. Then he created day, and then he says he called it day and night.
Yeah.
So it's now, okay. So there was first a
No,
creation
no.
of
The light was separate. The
the,
first light.
exactly. The light is separate from day and night.
and what caused the light? And what caused the light?
So
The
you
sun.
could, no, the light is separate from the sun.
Yes.
The light that Hashem created is separate from the sun.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So the way we measure time is separate. It could be that when Hashem created the light, okay, that was 1 billion years before he created darkness.
So-
It's impossible to know until we had a sunset and a sunrise and a physical day and a night that we could actually measure. Then there is no idea
So
of
then if-
time
so-
existing.
So then, if the world exists for 4.5 billion years, then
No. Well, okay. Several things. One is, it depends where you are. If you happen to be 3,000 light years from here,
If you're 3,000 light years from
if
here,
you're, 1 day is a lot more time than 1 day here.
Right. Have you ever watched Interstellar?
Oh, I heard it's a
Time
movie.
relative. It's a huge mind crazy thing, but basically, time is relative.
Yeah.
Which means that if I'm recording time from the sun or if I'm recording time from Earth, it's going to be completely different, immeasurable things. So time from the perspective of Hashem is very different from the time of perspective of humans.
So then
when we have 5,886, we're measuring from the time of the perspective of the creation of humans, which means we're only measuring time from our
from Hashem's perspective.
no, from our human perspective. We can't measure time from Hashem's perspective
So then
because we're not Hashem. We don't know.
So then that's the case. Why aren't we claiming 4.5 billion human years? Then
You could.
For
You
the creation of the world.
You could.
And so then
Nobody claims to know when the creation of the world is in Yiddishkeit. No one says this is the beginning of the world.
So then
It says in the beginning Hashem created.
Then why am I confusing creation in general with creation of the world?
I don't know. That's your own. You're putting in your own
The other
personal
thing is
science
also-
and Michigas and secular ideas into this.
There's also, this might be the 26th.
This is the 26th what
26
of January. I don't know. Of Tavis.
version, whatever.
It is the
of
26th of
world.
Tavis, I think.
Okay, so
No, it's the 25th.
there are people who
25th, 24th. I think it's the 24th.
Not the 26th?
It's the 20th. I don't know. I can look at my phone.
All right, but
It's the Alter Rebbe's yard site.
I don't mean to throw you under the bus for here, but
Please do.
I remember you claimed to me that it was the Malbud that killed the dinosaurs.
The Mabul that killed the dinosaurs.
No. Well,
You
no.
told me
what
that.
I said. What? Okay. So what I'm saying.
It could be that humans and
I
dinosaurs.
said
exist,
it's a
right?
possibility, but one theory that I heard was that the reason why they find all these bones, down there is because of the mabud, because the water mixed everything up.
All
So
the soil and everything got.
So all the layers that people think they're up are not really those layers. It's the waters that really stirred a lot of that stuff up.
Yeah,
And
you could
that's
also.
why they found skeletons of human beings at the same level as they found dinosaurs, which is
Yeah, it could
impossible
be.
according
Right.
to the scientists, but they actually did. So it's like they
Right,
have
right.
explanation for that.
So
Yeah.
so let me get this straight. The creation of the world is not creation of humans.
Correct.
Correct.
However, what about Neanderthals and Homo sapiens?
They're not humans.
They're not
Homo
humans.
sapiens, though.
But they're not humans.
Yeah, but
Also, there's been no connection between Neanderthals and humans.
Okay, what about
That haven't been able.
Well, there's
Lucy is
something
the
called the
closest,
missing
No,
link.
no,
right?
but
Which it doesn't exist.
but
Because there is no link.
But there's the Homo sapiens, though, which
That just means someone who walks upright, a being that walks upright on 2 feet.
No, but
That's all that means.
but there's a distinguishment between Homo sapiens and Neanderthals,
Okay, sure.
and according to scientists, we are Homo sapiens,
Okay, fine. So then the creation of Homo sapiens.
right?
Okay.
Which according to them, we've evolved over time, over hundreds of thousands of years to what we are now today, which is more than over 5,000 years old, which contradicts the creation of humanity, or of humans in general.
Or the science isn't there yet. And that what they believe to be a Homo sapien is not exactly what today's human being is.
And I also have another theory that I don't want to talk about.
Okay, fair.
Anyway.
This is all very good stuff, but the conclusion will always come down to the science isn't there yet, almost always, because they don't have a physical brain from that time period or all the intestines in the makings of that. Even if the skeleton is the same,
DNA.
they have the DNA, but you can't recreate everything from that. So.
They tried to revive like some extinct species, no? Like the mammoth or something.
They've tried.
It's
It's
Jurassic Park.
never exactly. Anyway, okay. So I did some personal research on the side to figure out. Okay, I said, okay, don't we know that there's an idea in science that energy cannot be created or destroyed,
Yeah, you're talking
and therefore doesn't
about-
does go through changes, but seems to not have a beginning or an end. So I wanted to explore that idea more. And I asked about electrons, neutrons, protons, because I was okay, what makes up electrons, protons, and neutrons and protons? And I asked, can they be created and destroyed?
You're talking about fusion.
Yeah, kind of. There's fission and fusion, which we've done before, where we can have atoms be torn apart and put back together.
Like the sun.
Yeah, and creates nuclear reactions and things like that, which we know. So we can have electrons being created and electrons being destroyed. We can have neutrons being created, and we have decay. A free neutron, one not inside an atom, is unstable. After about 10 or 15 minutes, it will die by turning into a proton and an electron, and an anti-neutrino, whatever that is. So inside the core of a dying star, gravity is so strong that it can crush protons and electrons together to create new neutrons. It's called a neutron star. So we can create neutrons. Neutrons also can be destroyed.
Wait.
Well, we can't create, but it can be created. Sorry. So the question always came back to, okay, protons. Protons seem to be the most stable of these elements, or whatever you want to call it, of the tools of creation.
Okay.
Of atoms. Protons seem to be that there's no things that make up. Protons are also made up of 3 quarks, 2 up and 1 down.
I thought it was neutrons that were the most stable.
No. Well, stable or whatever you want to call it.
Well,
but they're not stable because they can't exist on their own.
Because they neither have a positive or negative charge.
But they can't exist on their own. They have to have electrons flying around, whatever. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So the proton seems to be the most stable, and for a long time, it was considered that the protons lasted forever. They never broke down. Can't create them. You can't destroy them. And the protons were created in the massive quantities during the first few minutes of the Big Bang, allegedly. Destruction in the high energy particle accelerations, like the Large Hadron Collider, which they've done, where they've blasted protons together to try to destroy them. We destroy protons by smashing them together at nearly the speed of light, breaking them down into smaller constituents, which we call quarks and gluons. So it's considered to be, so we already know that it can be destroyed.
Okay.
And it's made, and then when you destroy it, it has smaller things that make it up. So we can say, okay, what if we take those quarks and those gluons and we smash those together? Could they be made up of other things beyond them? And on and on and on and on. And it was also proven recently that protons actually do have a half-life, trillions and trillions and trillions of years, but eventually it will decay as well. So therefore, it also has a beginning and an end, which means that we can follow the same principle that we've been using before, that finite objects have a beginning and an end, and because they're made up of atoms, which seemingly at the time we thought had no beginning, no end, also have a beginning and an end. Anyway, so I asked, okay, what about energy? We say that energy is a constant. So I did some research. Is energy actually constant? We can't make or destroy energy. We can only transfer it from one state of being to another. That's the idea. You have kinetic energy, it can be static energy, all these different things, right? So in standard general relativity, energy is not actually conserved on a cosmic scale. Why? So there's a violation to energy that we've discovered, because the volume, like you said, the volume of the universe is growing while the density of dark energy stays the same. The total amount of energy in the universe is therefore increasing every single second. Because if the universe was infinitely growing and the energy of the universe was conserved, that there's but it's not. Because if that was the case, all the energy of the world would be draining to create the infinite universe that keeps expanding.
Science is good. They realize that the universe is not the Big Bang is not slowing down. It's actually
speeding up.
Yeah.
Okay, so even more proving my point. If energy is conserved, energy cannot be created or destroyed. But all of a sudden we're creating brand new universes and it's expanding infinitely fast, infinitely large, and the energy that we have should be depleting.
But it's not.
Which means it must be coming from somewhere else.
Which means energy is being created as well.
And that energy must be coming from somewhere else.
So where's it coming from?
Hashem's thoughts.
Okay, so now we're going to try to quickly go through the last couple pages here. These are the arguments of the introduction of Sadi Gaon. I broke it down to very short, easy to read pieces.
I've got a question for you. When you're done with this, live stream, does it automatically save a recording and then you can share it with other people?
I can download it, but I post it.
Could you
download it and send it to you?
Yeah, please.
I'll try.
I want to send it to you.
Okay. So this is Saadia Gaon. He basically brings in a bunch of arguments to kind of disprove dumb people and prove smart people. Basically.
Okay.
So he said, don't believe in everything you hear. People are prone to believing nonsense, as we see in today's society. In every city, you're going to find an ignoramus who believes silly things. Some of the things he gives as examples are anyone who travels to India will strike it rich. or anyone who goes to America is going to live the American dream. But that's not true. But there's people who believe it.
Depends what your definition of striking rich is.
Fair.
And depends your definition of what the American dream
But
is.
just by showing up in the country is not going to make you rich.
Well,
And we're going to prove it further. If you're a poor person and you think that you have $100 in your pocket, does that actually change your situation?
yes.
No. It changes your perspective on the situation, but everyone can see that your situation is exactly the same.
Yeah,
It doesn't
unless
change
you do
anything.
something with $100.
But you don't have it. It's a poor person. He imagines that there's $100 in his pocket.
Oh, I thought you said. Oh,
No, he's a poor person. He has nothing.
Oh, I thought you said.
But he's like, he thinks, I have $100. I'm a rich person, but he's not.
I'm going to bust your chops. A poor American going to a part of India that's poor.
He's a rich
Especially
person.
a very rich person.
Okay, fine, but you're putting in extra things. If I, mamish, have no dollars in my pocket and I show up in India, I'm just as poor as I was anywhere else in the country, anywhere else in the world. Now, he gives another example later on, which we're going to get to, but I'll say it now. Thailand, you end up with less money in your pocket. So another example is, I have an enemy, and I imagine that my enemy is dead. I believe for a fact that my enemy is dead, and he's not. What's going to happen? He's going to come and kill me, because I'm not going to be ready for him. So did it There's also some people who claim that a giant crocodile swallows the moon to cause an eclipse. This is old times. It's started going from a long time ago.
Okay.
And there's Arabs who believe that if you don't slaughter a man's camel on his grave, he'll walk to the judgment day on his own two legs. Basically meaning that if you don't kill the camel, he's going to have to walk. You won't have a camel in the next life. These ideas are laughable. Just because there are many false beliefs doesn't mean we should stop searching for the true ones. So basically we're saying there's a lot of people who say stupid stuff. And a lot of people believe these stupid things, but it doesn't mean that we should stop trying to search for the truth. Is it forbidden to question? So there's some people who quote sages and say we shouldn't ask deep questions. That Yiddishkeit actually says, no, you shouldn't be asking questions. Because there's a verse in, I forget where it's from, but it says, I think it's in one of the Masechtas, I don't know which one, but it says, better that he was never born, the person who asks, what is above, what is below, what came before creation, and what comes after creation.
You're talking about...
Maybe it's in Pirkei Avos, I don't remember.
Which page?
One, at the bottom. The second, where it says number 1, you're on number 5. You have to go before.
How
Yeah.
about
So
Hillel and Bet Shammai?
it's based on Beit Shammai. Right.
When they argue,
This is a person should never have been born if he...
better to be born than not.
Right. So he shouldn't have been born if he's asking these questions. But the sages didn't mean that you shouldn't think. They meant merely that you shouldn't guess wildly while ignoring the prophets and the Torah. God actually commands us to use our mind. So it doesn't make sense that they would say that you shouldn't question what came before, what came after, what's above and what's below. You, Dafka, should be asking these questions. So what's the goal is that we speculate. We speculate so that the book smarts we get from the prophets become street smarts through our own logic. We also do it so we can logically defend our faith against critics. So basically we're saying you should be searching for the answers to these questions because there's going to be people who come along and try to challenge you on them. When he says why you shouldn't question, what's above, what's below, what came before, what came after, is that there's going to be wild speculations that come, oh, this was before creation. There was a big bang. There was a bunch of things floating around, and then it's all of a sudden a big bang. But what caused them to all come together? There had to be something that caused them to all, you think randomly, all these protons that were infinitely far away from each other in the entirely expanding universe, somehow came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden were squished together and created the Big Bang? It's crazy to think that.
Hashem created a zip file.
Exactly. Okay, so why did Hashem give us... So here's the other question. Here's another...
Yeah.
This is true.
It's true.
So here's another question then. Why is it... What's up,
So
Shmuel?
that's how it works.
So another question that comes up is, why is it that Hashem gave us prophets in the Torah if we could have logically come to the conclusion ourselves?
Keeps us going.
Basically, yeah. So why did he bother giving us the Torah and performing miracles and all these things? One, a time factor. Logic and philosophy take a long time to master, which we said first we'll do and then we'll understand. It's mamish in the Torah. It says first we'll do, then we'll understand. Thank you for giving us these commandments. We're going to do them, but the goal will always be to logically reach these conclusions eventually. But it takes a long time. Hashem said, I want you to be doing the right thing before you get there. If you never get there, you'll never do the right thing. The world will fall into chaos. They'll just kill each other before, like you said, we're killing off animals before they can evolutionize. It's the same thing with our own selves. We would kill ourselves before we had a chance to actually come to the logical conclusions. So if we didn't have the Torah, people would live their whole lives without a moral compass while they were still thinking things through. I'm still trying to figure things out logically, and in the meantime, we're living like animals. Hashem said, okay, I'm going to let you know what the end is, and you're going to reach the end on your own eventually. So not everyone is a genius or a philosopher. That's the other thing. Women, children, and people busy with lives also need to know the truth. People this is old school, so it's assuming that women are at home and taking care of the house, busy with things. Children are also not really in the same mindset of searching deeply. Right. And there's also men who are busy with work, too busy plowing the fields to be able to think about God all day. Only the shepherds, who literally did nothing but watch goats eat grass all day, they didn't do anything the whole day, they have time to think and sit about Hashem. Oh, yeah. You can think about the truth. Yeah, wait. So the safety net as well, by giving us the Torah first via miracles, which we all saw with our own eyes, Hashem gave us the answer key. Basically, we know the answers even though we don't know the questions. We're playing Jeopardy with Hashem. Now we can spend our lives doing the math to see how he got there without the risk of being lost in the meantime, which is what we're doing. We said first we'll do it, then we'll understand. We investigate the Torah for two main reasons. One, to transform our prophetic tradition into clear logical understanding, and to be equipped with answers of critics of our faith. Those are the two reasons why we study Torah. While Hashem first established the truth through public miracles and prophets, he also made it possible for us to reach these same truths through independent rational inquiry. Our tradition, like we did with the axe analogy, and through the more we learn about particles, the more we realize, well, maybe there is a creator. Our tradition is uniquely grounded in authentic tradition as well, which is an entire nation witnessing Hashem's revolution rather than a single individual. Revelation. Thank you. Revelation. This divine foundation ensures that no skeptic can produce a logically sound argument that successfully contradicts the Torah's teaching. Ultimately, by combining deep study with our heritage, we can gain a secure faith that is both intellectually verified and protected from doubt. So, for example, almost all other religions begin with one person. Almost every single religion begins with one person having his own revelation that nobody else witnessed, and only he knows the answers to. Muhammad, only he knew Hashem's truths. Only Hashem came only to him. Only gave him revelations. Yashka also, only he's the only one that rose. No one else saw him rise. They just assumed to be going. Another one is Mormonism. Joseph Smith was the only one who saw the tablets or could read them, and then they magically disappeared before anyone else could see them. Buddha himself was the only one to reach nirvana. Only Jews have an entire nation all at once experienced and witnessed Hashem. The entire world is said to have experienced all the plagues, and all the people, all the Jewish nation, saw Hashem in the desert. They all were there for the revelation of Sinai. They all heard Hashem say the first three of the 10 Commandments. Yeah, sure. And when we do the Haggadah, we say, it's me. I specifically was the one Hashem brought out of Egypt. And we tell our kids, it was me. I'm the one who Hashem brought out of Egypt. It wasn't just Moshe. Moshe wasn't the only one who got the revelation. It was all of us. Everybody all at once. We have a group witnessing, which is unheard of in anywhere else in the world. It literally doesn't exist. Wow. So, doubts usually happen for two reasons. One, ignorance. This is the things we talked about. You don't know what you're looking for. You're looking for a guy named Reuben. You don't know what he looks like. Or laziness. You aren't being thorough enough. I looked at the group. Oh, Reuben's not here. But you didn't look at every single person. You don't know. True knowledge is refined silver. It requires patience. You stop halfway through a job. If you stop halfway through building a building, you don't have a building. You don't have the truth if you only stop halfway. Thinking is the same way. You have to process through to go through all the doubts in order for them to all disappear. You have to go through it thoroughly. The wise are only praised and doubts removed from them on account of their patient work in the field after becoming thoroughly acquainted with it, which is why we praise our sages, because they spent their entire lives trying to figure out, is this true, is this not true? And that's exactly what the Gemara does as well. We have to look at every single aspect of this situation in order to really know, is it complete in its argument?
2,500 years ago, in Babylon.
Yeah, 2,500 years, right? A little bit more, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Said that the world was round.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, which means we already knew long before
Science proved.
Science
And
proved
then
that
the Greeks also knew at that time.
The Greeks also knew at that time. Yeah.
we knew before the Greeks.
And he says also you can prove that the Earth is round using geometry.
Yeah.
Using geometry, and you can prove it. So even though the science goes to prove things that we knew before.
There are still people today that believe that the world is flat, which is that's it.
They should walk to the edge and jump off then.
I wonder what happens if you actually take them on like a spaceship and try to show them.
I don't know. So, okay, belief is only true if it matches reality. So, when we say something is black, it's black. When a belief is false, it contradicts reality. When you say something is white, when it's actually black. So that's a false belief. So beliefs can only be one of two things, either true or false. If I believe something, I believe it to be true, or I can believe something and it could be false. The thing that I believe could be false. It can only be one or the other. So a fool thinks that reality must follow his opinion, which we see in America. Many young people in America believe that their opinion is the reality. And the example is a poor man convinces himself that his pockets are full of gold. He's still broke. He can't buy himself a cup of coffee. If a man thinks an enemy is dead just because he wants him to be, I want to believe that he's dead. He's going to get caught off guard, and his enemy is going to come and kill him. The conclusion is that denying Hashem doesn't make Hashem go away. You're still subject to his laws whether you believe in him or not. So there's 4 pillars of knowledge. How do we know anything? One is the senses. Senses we know to be 100% true. Unless, obviously, it's an optical illusion. For example, you have people that look in a mirror and believe that the person standing in the mirror is its own entity.
What's the purpose of mentioning these? Sorry?
Because we have to show how someone comes to logical conclusions. We have to show how knowledge is acquired.
Oh, I see.
In order to disprove people that...
Like how people interact, I see.
Okay. Yeah. So like if you believe something to be... if you believe that there is no God,
right.
I need to be able to show you... I need to go through all the steps of, okay, how does one go from a belief to how do you know that something is true? So we know things are true because I can touch it, I can sense it, all 5 senses. That's why we make fun of idols. Because idols literally can't touch, can't walk, can't speak, can't feel, can't see, can't taste. All the things that we can do, they can't. So I prove already that it doesn't
compute.
Yeah, exactly. So how do I know something to be true? From my 5 senses. And from intuition, things are obvious to the mind, like truth is good and lying is bad. Murder is bad. Things that can be obviously, we can obviously come to the conclusion of these things. There's logical necessity, inferring something that you can't see from something else. For example, I see smoke, then the logical necessity is that there must be a fire. Even if I don't see the fire itself, the smoke makes the fire a logical necessity. Basically, there cannot be smoke without something being really hot.
Right.
You have water vapor, you have like smoke machines.
Yeah.
But
Hydrogen.
hydrogen, yeah. You
That
have
sounds
things,
like a bit of a fallacy.
How so? It's not real smoke though. Like I'm talking about like you see smoke in the sky, you can assume that there's a fire. You can't assume that there's a fire? Or that there was a fire at one point that caused the smoke?
Well, I mean,
smoke doesn't exist on its own.
I guess, well, no, it doesn't. But
Smoke doesn't exist on its own. So it must be that there is a logical necessity. Basically, we can know for a fact that if we see smoke, something caused that smoke. There was something that caused that smoke to happen.
okay, fair enough.
So eventually we're going to use the same logic to prove that there's God. I see something exists. I know for a fact it can't exist without something happening, some sort of reaction happening first. And eventually we take it all the way back. The Big Bang can't exist without a reaction happening first. So something had to have caused that reaction to happen. Okay, so authentic tradition is the other one. This is our unique claim as being Jews. We didn't just have one person that saw Hashem. We saw an entire nation witness the miracles. This makes our history a sensory fact passed down through the generations. So basically we have something called memory. Like a shared memory that we all know something to have happened because we all experienced it.
The Dead Sea Scrolls.
What? The Dead Sea Scrolls is not that.
Well, it's still not. It's a step in the right direction.
That's not authentic tradition.
No, but it's
It
proof.
It is logical necessity.
All right, fair enough.
It's a logical necessity because the Dead Sea Scrolls can't exist unless there were Jews that existed then.
Yeah.
So spotting bad logic. To keep your thinking clean, you must test your theories. If you claim must be true because of B, you have to check if there's other explanations.
And do you do that with the things that we just mentioned?
You can. You're more than welcome to. So, for example, some say that the Milky Way is white because the sun used to travel that path. That's back in Saadia Gaon's days. That's what they believed. And Saadia said, no, it could be that there's mist or a cluster of tiny stars or atmospheric fire, which we know now to be true, is that there's space dust, basically,
Right.
that we know exists. And you shouldn't settle for the first explanation that sounds good. You should keep digging until the logic is literally watertight, that there are no other possible proofs that you can come to disprove it. So statements can come in three forms. One, it's a necessary statement, such as, this is going through the senses a little bit more. The fire is hot. There's impossible statements, such as, the fire is cold. Fire cannot be cold. And there's possible statements, such as, Reuben is Ashkenazi, or he's from Bavli, he's Sephardi. He then puts aside the necessary and impossible statements, since the truth is already known. We know that fire is hot. We know that fire is not cold. So something that's possible, we don't have to think about it, because we know for a fact that it's possible. There's no questioning it. The logic is already airtight. We know fire cannot be cold. It's impossible. We already know logic is airtight. Fine, get rid of it. The question then becomes, the only thing that we really have to worry about and chew on are statements that are possible. Such as, is Reuben Ashkenazi or not? Could be, could not be. Could be neither. So he then considers the possible statements and inquires as to whether they correspond to reality. Given certain necessary premises, this too is necessary, or that since certain premises are impossible, this too is impossible. For example, there's a fire over there where I see smoke. Since there is smoke, there must be a fire, since smoke only comes from something that's burning. So I see smoke. I can say I see something that's like a possible statement, something that could go one way or the other. And based on logic, I can kind of come to the conclusion that is going to be sealed, even though I don't see it directly. This is all of Saadia Gaon's like main things, is that we need to be able to prove something that we can't see, and this is the what is so unique about a human and not an animal. An animal can't do that. An animal can't come to a logical conclusion based on something it can't see. A dog can't know that there's a treat behind a door unless he's seen the treat put behind the door. A human can imagine that there's a treat behind the door without ever having seen a treat.
We visualize it in our minds.
Right. You can see something. You can also come to a conclusion that something is true based on. Okay. In fact, it's impossible that a single act at one moment should remove all doubts. So this is also good to remember, for that would violate the law of creatures and his created creature. Basically, we can't come to any logical conclusion without first going through all the steps needed to reach that conclusion. Excuse me. Meaning, I have to learn A before I learn B. And I have to learn C. I have to learn the whole alphabet before... Oh, sorry, guys. I have to learn the entire alphabet before I can learn words. I need to know the letters before I can learn words. I need to learn words before I can learn sentences. I need to learn sentences before I can learn grammar. All these different things, right?
Yeah.
So, furthermore, he who does not ascribe his failure to himself desires that his Creator give him knowledge free from all doubt. That is to say, he's asking Hashem to make himself a God. You're asking Hashem to make you Hashem himself. If I want no doubts, doubts have to exist. Otherwise, that's what being human is. Being a created being means that I don't have all the answers.
Right.
And therefore, if I want Hashem to give me all the answers, that there shouldn't be any doubt, I'm basically asking Hashem to make me Hashem. I'm asking God to make me God.
Why? Wait. Hold on.
If I have all the answers, if I know everything, if I am... Go ahead.
I think it's a bit arrogant for people to claim that they want all the answers. But if you want somebody to just say, "Hey, I just want to know, just to know reason beyond a doubt, or just to be confident that Hashem
You
exists."
can't know beyond a doubt, but you can know. You can know to a logical necessity.
But so then would you be claiming the same thing that you're asking Hashem to make you Hashem? If you just say, "Hey, I just want something to give me the confidence to know that this exists."
No, because that's a step below Hashem. That's us. Like for me, so let's go back to the smoke inquiry. It is possible. It is not without the realm of possibility, because Hashem can do anything at all times. Hashem created the burning bush, and the bush didn't get burned up. That's illogical. That's something that literally I would never have been able to come to the conclusion of without someone telling me that this is exactly what happened and they witnessed it specifically. If I see smoke, I can logically conclude, without a doubt, that there's fire. However, do I know 110%, like exactly 100%, that there was a fire that caused that smoke? I know 99.99999 infinity to the end percent.
Right.
The 0.0001% I don't know is that Hashem could have created the smoke ex nihilo from nothing.
Right.
So there will always be that doubt of the initiation of creation, which is Hashem. That's where Hashem exists. That's how we know Hashem exists. Because I'm a created being, there will always be, logically we can come to the conclusion that there will always be some little bit that I don't know 100%, and that little bit has to, well, in and of itself proves to me that Hashem exists. This is because the only one who can know anything without depending on a cause is the Creator. May He be blessed. As for created beings, it is impossible that they should have uncaused knowledge. That is, they must know things by analysis and detailed research, which requires a certain amount of time, as we have related. Basically, we can eventually know everything given a certain amount of time. That time to know Hashem, how do we know an infinite being? We need an infinite amount of time.
Would you say that there's an infinite amount of time?
I don't know. Give me some time. I'll get back to you.
So that's your
Yeah. Hashem said, "Give me a day." It was yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody. That concludes our arguments on the existence of Hashem.
Any questions?